Hello guys, my name is Stan. Welcome to another video. Do not forget to like video and subscribe his channel.
The unexpected arrival. Rafael Torres stepped out of the sleek black car that pulled up to the waterfront cafe in Salvador. 3 years had passed since he left this coastal town with barely $200 in his pocket and a hunger in his chest that no amount of sleep could satisfy. Now, at 32, he owned a chain of luxury resorts across South America. His tailored suit cost more than his first apartment, and his watch gleamed in the afternoon sun like a small golden promise. The ocean breeze carried the familiar scent of salt and coconut oil. Rafael closed his eyes, allowing the weight of memory to settle on his shoulders. He had come back not out of nostalgia, but out of something deeper, a need to prove that he had become someone worth knowing again. He decided to walk through the old market district first, reacquainting himself with the narrow cobblestone streets where he and Sophia used to spend lazy afternoons. They would share fresh mango slices and make plans about a future that felt both impossible and inevitable. Sophia had always believed in him, even when his own mother didn't. Especially then. As he turned the corner onto Rua do Mar, Rafael froze. There she was. Sophia Mendes stood beneath the awning of a small cafe, her dark hair pulled back in the same simple style he remembered, but somehow different now, longer, with subtle hints of caramel in the sunlight. She wore a cream-colored dress that moved with her as she adjusted something on one of the outdoor tables. Her face had softened with age, carrying new lines around her eyes that spoke of laughter and possibly tears. But it was the child beside her that made Rafael's breath catch in his throat. The boy, no more than 5 or 6 years old, had Sophia's dark eyes and the same stubborn curve to his chin. He was reaching for a piece of fruit on the table, his small hand stretching with determination. Rafael's legs moved before his mind caught up. He walked toward them, his heart pounding against his ribs like a fist demanding release. Sophia looked up at the sound of his footsteps, and the fruit fell from her hand, forgotten on the wooden table. Her face went pale. Rafael. The way she said his name, with such fear, such raw exposure, told him everything and nothing all at once. Secrets and confessions. Sophia's hands trembled as she instinctively pulled Diego closer to her side. The boy looked up at her with confusion, sensing the sudden shift in the air around them. Diego, sweetheart, go inside for a moment. Elena is making those pastries you love, she said softly, though her eyes never left Rafael's face. Once the child disappeared into the cafe, Rafael sat down across from her without asking permission. They stared at each other across the small wooden table, 3 years of absence stretching between them like an ocean they couldn't cross. He's mine, isn't he? Rafael's voice was quiet, almost hollow. Sophia closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were glistening. It's complicated, Rafael. Complicated, he leaned forward, his voice rising slightly before he caught himself. You have a child who looks exactly like me, and it's complicated. Elena emerged from the cafe, reading the situation instantly. She placed a protective hand on Sophia's shoulder, her expression challenging Rafael to push further. Elena had always been loyal to Sophia, fiercely so, and Rafael remembered how she had encouraged Sophia to move on after he left. He was born 4 months after you left, Sophia began, her voice steady despite the tears sliding down her cheeks. I didn't know I was pregnant until you were already gone. Your phone had changed, and every letter I tried to send came back. I was alone, Rafael. I had to make decisions about my life. Rafael stood up abruptly, his hand running through his dark hair in frustration. You should have found a way. You should have told me. I was going to, Sophia whispered. But by the time I had my life somewhat together, too much time had passed. And then I met someone. Diego's father. At least that's what I thought. He helped me through a difficult pregnancy. He was there at Diego's birth. Rafael's jaw clenched. And where is he now? Sophia looked away. He left when Diego was 2 years old. Said he couldn't handle the responsibility. But by then, it didn't matter anymore because... She paused, her eyes finding Rafael's again. Because there was always doubt about the timeline. Rafael, the truth is, I've never been entirely certain. And that uncertainty kept me from reaching out. The truth unveiled. The medical clinic smelled of antiseptic and hope. Raphael sat in the waiting room beside Sophia, maintaining a careful distance that felt both necessary and impossible. Diego played with a wooden puzzle in the corner, his small fingers working with intense concentration, completely unaware of the weight bearing down on the adults around him. Mateus had called Raphael 3 times that morning. The resort deal was falling apart, investors were backing out, and the entire operation was crumbling. Raphael had told him to handle it. Nothing mattered right now except the truth. Dr. Silva emerged from his office, an elderly man with kind eyes who had delivered both Raphael and Sophia as children. He held an envelope in his weathered hands, and his expression was gentle, as if he understood the magnitude of what he was about to reveal. "The results are conclusive," he said, sitting across from them. "There is a 99.9% probability of paternity." Raphael felt his entire body go numb. It was one thing to suspect, but hearing it confirmed was something else entirely. He looked at Sophia, who had begun to cry silently, tears rolling down her cheeks without sound. Diego looked up from his puzzle, his dark eyes filled with confusion at his mother's sadness. "I'm sorry," Sophia whispered. "I was so afraid of what this would mean. For all of us." Raphael left the clinic alone, driving out to the abandoned beach house at the edge of town, the place where they had spent their last night together before he departed with nothing but dreams and desperation in his heart. The house was weathered now, the blue paint peeling like sunburned skin, but the interior remained the same: 2 rooms, a small kitchen, and a porch that faced the infinite ocean. He sat on the deteriorating steps and allowed himself to break. Tears came, hot and fierce, not just for the 5-year-old boy he'd missed raising, but for the woman Sophia had been forced to become while raising him alone. He thought of her working in that cafe, saving money, building a life for a child whose existence she couldn't even fully explain. When his phone rang, it was Mateus reporting disaster. Raphael answered with a single sentence: "Sell the resort to the Dubai investors. I'm staying here." Then he turned off his phone. There were some things more valuable than money, and he had just discovered what they were. Reconnecting with the past. 3 weeks had passed, and Raphael had become a fixture in Sophia's small cafe. He arrived each morning as she unlocked the doors, helped her prepare the tables, and most importantly, he began to know his son. Diego called him Mr. Torres at first, formal and distant, but slowly, with careful patience, Raphael earned a place in the boy's heart. He taught Diego how to play football in the dusty square behind the cafe, how to identify the different birds that flew over the ocean, and how to make the perfect caramel sauce that Sophia used in her signature desserts. One afternoon, Elena caught them together. Raphael crouched down while Diego arranged flowers into a vase, the man's large hand guiding the child's small fingers with a tenderness that made Elena's skepticism finally crumble. She approached Raphael later with 2 cups of coffee. "He talks about you constantly," Elena said, sitting beside him. "He called you pie yesterday." Raphael's eyes widened. "Father." "He did." Sophia didn't correct him. The words opened something in Raphael that had been locked away. He looked at Elena directly. "I'm not going back to Buenos Aires. I'm not going back to my business. I'm restructuring everything, and I'm staying here. With them." Elena nodded slowly, as if she had been waiting for him to say exactly this. "Sophia's afraid you'll leave again. Then I'll have to show her I won't." What began as tentative reconnect ion transformed into something neither of them had anticipated. As Raphael spent time with Sophia planning Diego's 6th birthday celebration, their hands began to touch across tables. As they walked through the city streets at dusk, their fingers would brush against each other. One night, while preparing the cafe for the next day, Raphael pulled Sophia against him and kissed her, slow and deliberate, a kiss that tasted of regret and redemption in equal measure. Sophia pushed back, not in rejection, but in the need to breathe, to process. "This is complicated, Raphael. We can't just rewrite history." "No," he agreed, his forehead touching hers. "But we can write something new. The 3 of us." Rosa, the cafe's landlord, had watched this progression with the wisdom of someone who had seen love destroyed and rebuilt many times. She called Raphael to her office one morning and handed him the title to the small cottage behind the cafe, a property she had owned for decades. "For them," Rosa said simply. Make it a home. Love reborn. The beach was decorated with lanterns and flower garlands for Diego's birthday celebration. Friends and neighbors gathered on the sand as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and crimson. Diego ran between the adults, his face glowing with the pure joy that only children could manufacture so effortlessly. Raphael stood to the side, watching as Sophia helped Diego blow out the candles on the cake, a massive creation shaped like a soccer ball, decorated with caramel and love. When the boy spotted Raphael, he ran toward him and leaped into his arms, something he did now without hesitation or fear. Pie! Pie! Did you see? I made a wish. I did. Meu filho. What did you wish for? Diego leaned down and whispered in Raphael's ear, loud enough for everyone to hear, that you would never leave again. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but these were different tears now, not tears of sorrow or uncertainty, but of healing. Later that evening, after Diego had fallen asleep in his new bedroom at the cottage, the room Raphael had painted in soft greens and decorated with stars, Raphael found Sophia on the back porch. The ocean sang in the darkness, its rhythm ancient and eternal. Thank you, Sophia said. Raphael took her hand, interlacing their fingers. For what? For coming back. For fighting through the confusion. For loving him so completely, so fearlessly. Raphael turned to face her fully, pulling her close. I came back a millionaire in money, but I'm rich now in ways I never expected. You and Diego, you are my real wealth. He kissed her then, and it was different from the first kiss they had shared after reconnecting. This kiss held promises, commitments, and the profound understanding that love wasn't always simple or straightforward, but it was worth every complicated moment. Sophia wrapped her arms around his neck, surrendering to the feeling of being home, not in a place, but in a person. In the man who had left as a dreamer and returned as someone capable of real, sustained, transformative love. The cottage lights glowed warmly behind them. Diego slept peacefully inside. And on the porch of a small coastal home, two people who had been broken by time and distance began the delicate work of building something that would last. Not because it was easy, but because it was true.